तत्र नेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनम् देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटम् नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधना बोधितम् लोके सज्जन षट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद्भारतपङ्कजं कलिमलप्रध्वंसिनः श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः।
We are starting a new study in Vedanta, which is not being discussed at all, which is not taught at all. Either we study the Maya, the Mithya, etc., or we study the Puranic stories. The important aspect of it, which is Dharma Shastra, is never discussed at all. And we are starting that study. We are not going to study the entire Dharma Shastra. The topic is given very clearly, no? Introduction to Dharma Shastra, isn't it? Sai. Correct. We are not going to study Dharma Shastra. Maybe in the introduction, whoever is bold enough to study Dharma Shastra will study later. It's a new study. When I say new study means a different approach where you will not find any of the so-called Vedanta in it. So-called Vedanta will not be in it. So whoever wants to go, they can go now only, isn't it? Because if you think you are going to discuss Vedanta in the name of that, no, we are not going to discuss. There is no Vedanta here. Vedanta Yogyata is Dharma Shastra. What gives you the Yogyata to study Vedanta? What gives you the right benefit of the study of Vedanta is Dharma Shastra. That's why we are reversing it. After 30, 40 years of study, also people come and say nothing is happening. It means the Yogyata is not rightly attended to. So we are working backwards. What is it? So Dharma Shastra is the study for Vedanta Yogyata. Technically, it is called Jnana Yogyata. For the study and assimilation of knowledge, a pre-qualification is necessary. That pre-qualification is Dharma Shastra. Just as medicine and the entrance exam to medicine. Only if you clear that, you can understand that medicine. Otherwise, you can still buy the books and read, but you will not understand anything. Therefore, what is this Dharma Shastra and what is it is what we are going to briefly see in the four sessions we are going to discuss that. The traditional study of Vedanta always starts with Taittiriya. The traditional study of Vedanta always starts with the study of the Taittiriya. Taittiriya Samhita and Taittiriya Upanishad. Even today, you go to the Vedic schools, they will study with Taittiriya first. My first exposure to it is Taittiriya. Taittiriya Samhita followed by Taittiriya Upanishad. The Taittiriya Samhita is the introduction to Dharma Shastra. We are not going to study Taittiriya Samhita. We are not going to study that. That itself is a challenging task. I'm not taking that portion, but references I'm giving. Shikshavalli Anuvaka 11 is Dharma Shastra. The Vedas introduces it. And then 90% of the Veda will be an elaboration on this, Anuvaka 11. The last 10% is the Vedanta. Now, what has happened is that 90% is eliminated and the 10% has become the spotlight. The 10% of Vedanta is a very good intellectual stimulating exercise. It's very intellectually entertaining. The 10% of Vedanta is intellectual entertainment. Somebody gets entertained by watching a movie. Somebody gets entertained by reading a book. Somebody gets entertained by these kind of intellectual ideas, thoughts. The 10% of Vedanta is more of that ideas a lot. It doesn't come into the main thing. When I say it doesn't come into the main thing, means the Jnana Yogyata. This Jnana Yogyata in Atma Bodha, we call it a Sadhana Chatushtaya. This Jnana Yogyata is what in Atma Bodha, we call it as Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampat. Now that Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampat, or all this are talking about a preparation for the study of Vedanta. Dharma Shastra will be Sadhana Pradhana. Upanishads is Jnana Pradhana. Vedanta is Upanishad. Again, Dharma Shastra, the focus on Dharma Shastra is sadhana. The focus of Upanishad is on Jnana. Jnanam to the one who has done all the sadhanas. That is why the Upanishadic thoughts given to the unprepared mind leads to a lot of confusions and misunderstandings. Lot of confusions, lot of misunderstanding, because the jnana yogyata, the qualification is not rightly addressed. Whenever they talk about the qualification, the modern day people started talking it as discrimination. Why are you discriminating the highest knowledge and not making the highest knowledge liberal? Why do you want to give the highest knowledge liberally to everybody? This is the modern day thinking. Are you able to follow till now? The modern day thinking is, why can't you give the highest thought liberally to everybody and allow people to make their own choices? Sadhana, Dharma Shastra comes and says, you have no choice. You follow this, you will be able to understand the Upanishad. If you don't follow this, you can go on reading Upanishad after Upanishad after Upanishad. You can go on reading Bhashyas after Bhashyas after Bhashyas. You can go on reading, listening lectures after lectures after lectures. You will come back and say, why I am still the same, sir? Why I am still the same? Why I am still okay? Here and there, little bit of benefits you get. We're not denying that. But the transformation that we are expecting to happen doesn't happen. It means somewhere there is a fallacy in the approach. What is the fallacy in the approach? The fallacy in the approach is neglecting the study and practice of Dharma Shastra. Is the fallacy, is what we are trying to do. Second, Vedanta is very easy to teach because there is no commandment there. You can go on theorizing, speculating. In Dharma Shastra, it is all commandments. Dharma Shastra is commandments. We are going to see all that. All that we have 4 days to discuss these 3-4 words only. We have to discuss all this. So, in a matter of 15-20 minutes, you will get used to do this vocabulary, Sunil. Because I'll be repeating the same 4-5 words again and again. You will get used to these 4-5 words very soon. By the end of the session, you will be, at least you would have by hearted these words. Knowledge is divided into sadhana pradhana and jnana pradhana. Vedanta is jnanam, predominantly jnanam. Pradhanam means the focus. Jnanam will be the focus. Sadhana will be ancillary there in Vedanta. In Dharma Shastra, it's exactly the opposite. Sadhana will be the pradhana, the spotlight. The knowledge will be given the ancillary status. When we say knowledge is given the ancillary status, what it means is, unless you have overcome this, you cannot relate to it. You cannot relate. Are you able to follow? Directly giving the highest knowledge about Brahman, Maya, Mithya, etc., and then come down and tell the person, get rid of the Tamoguna, the person will say, there is no such thing called Tamoguna, it's all Maya only. No. Why do all this? Anyway, it's all Maya. Anyway, it's all Mithya. Anyway, it's all Brahman. Anyway, all that is needed is what? To understand the whole thing is illusion. This approach is the putting the cart before the horse. The Taittiriya Upanishad, Sikshavalli, which is where the study is always started with, gives a lot of emphasis on sadhana. In fact, even Bhagavad Gita, we don't know how to read properly because he's giving so much of emphasis on sadhana. Do. Sadhana means the commandment of saying do is sadhana. Jnanam means what? Jnanam says understand. Doing is not required. Sadhana says Sadhana says, do. Do. Don't worry about understanding. Don't worry about understanding. Do it. Exactly like when you are given the prescription, if you are wise, you will take the prescription and follow the prescription. You will not study the science behind the prescription. You can study the science behind the prescription, but you will not understand anything, isn't it? Like you go to the doctor gives a prescription. You come back and Google about the medication. You come back and start Googling about the medicines. What you will find? Will it inspire you to take the medication or you will drop the medication? What will you do? You will drop the medication because it looks like the doctor is conspiring to murder you more than the disease. It looks like that. It looks like the doctor is, this doctor and the pharmaceutical company are hand in glove to destroy you out of it. Beautiful distinction between Dharma and Dharma Shastra. Actually, it should be, we'll go into the details. Actually, it should be called as Dharma Sutras. The Dharma Sutra today has become Dharma Shastra. Everything starts with the Sutra. Sutra means formulas. Dharma Sutras, it's called. It's called Purva Mimamsa Sutra technically. Jaimini, the Rishi, is the one who has done this. And there are beautiful, extraordinary commentaries on this Purva Mimamsa Sutra. Purva Mimamsa is Dharma. Uttara Mimamsa is called Vedanta. These are all technical words. Brahma Sutra, etc. belongs to Vedanta. Atado Brahma Jigyasa. Brahma Sutra starts like that. Jaimini Sutra starts with Atato Dharma Jigyasa. Brahma Sutra starts with Adado Brahma Jigyasa. Jaimini starts the Purva Mimamsa, the Dharma Sutra with Atato Dharma Jigyasa. This Atado Dharma Jigyasa root comes from Taittiriya Upanishad. Atato Brahma Jigyasa root also comes from the same Upanishads. Look at that. Atado Dharma Jigyasa is Dharma Sutra. Atado Brahma Jigyasa is Brahma Sutra. Brahma Sutra is Vedanta. Where does the origin of Dharma starts from? Vedas. So, first thing that we are trying to establish is Dharma Shastra is from Vedas. It is not an independent study of Vedas. It is not a non-detailed ancillary study to Vedas. Dharma Shastra, Dharma Sutra is Vedas by itself. That's why this study will be called as Veda Purva. Once you gain this maturity and come, it will be called as Veda Anta. So Veda Purva is Dharma and Veda Anta is whatever we are studying. So in these 4 sessions, we will not be discussing any of the Vedantic concepts. We will be discussing more of Dharma. We will be discussing more about Dharma. First thing, to establish that it is part of the Vedas, not somebody's books. Dharma is not somebody sits and writes a books on do's and don'ts. It is also just as Upanishad is not written by a single person. Dharma Sutra is also not written by a person. It is from the Vedas itself. And Vedas means Apaurushayam. Apaurushayam means not created by any human beings. The human beings elaborates it further. So what is said in the Veda, Krishna elaborates it. What is said in the Veda? Jaimini elaborates. What is said in the Veda? Brahma Sutras explains. But Vedas is the authoritative textbooks. Is Dharma Shastra, is Dharma Sutra part of Vedas? Where is it in the Vedas? It is very much part of the Vedas. It is very much part of the study. That's why I started by saying in the traditional studying of Veda and Vedanta, it will be always started with Taittiriya Samhita. Of the Taittiriya Samhita, Taittiriya Upanishad. At least most of us would have heard the name Taittiriya Upanishad, isn't it? At least Taittiriya Upanishad name we have heard. The Taittiriya Upanishad is part of the Taittiriya Samhita, and the Taittiriya Upanishad is the second part. Sikshavalli is the part 1. And then comes, once you are matured, once you gain the Jnana Yogyata, then you go to part 2, which is the other aspects of the Upanishads. So, first thing we understand. What? First thing we understand. The sequence is this. You don't come from Vedanta to Dharma. You go from Dharma to Vedanta. The Western world ignored the Dharma portion completely, and they started glorifying the 10%. And we still have the same colonial mindset, no? Isn't it? What is a colonial mindset? If one white-skinned person does something, that is more appealing than any of us doing it, isn't it? What they did, they could not understand or relate to the Dharma Shastra portion at all of Vedas. They just picked up the last few percent. And that they started glorifying at Vedanta, Vedanta, Vedanta. And we also started glorifying that as Vedanta, 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 neglecting what is required to get there. For the Western, philosophy is part of a speculative study. For East, for us, philosophy is the law of life. Remember the difference. The West has a different approach to philosophy. East has a different approach to philosophy. The West approach to philosophy is like another study. It's like another subject you study. That's why in the West, they will not have a problem with a philosopher being a drug addict. They will not have the problem, because a doctor can be a drug addict, no? A doctor can be a terrorist, no? Similarly, philosopher also can be a terrorist there, because there it is not the subject matter of the law of life. For the East, philosophy is not another subject of study. For East, philosophy is the law of life. It's the law of life. We don't see it as another study. Most of the time, we have started considering it as another study. We don't take that approach at all in Vedanta. And at the end of the first session, most of you will go confused. And tomorrow, 50% will be there. Third session, Sai. You have to come because you are what admin you are? I don't know, whatever admin you are, you have to come because of that. I will also come because I will come because I have to talk, isn't it? Other than that, oh my God. Why? Because sadhana pradhana means hitting on the spots that you don't want to be aware of. You don't want to know there are things in you. You don't want to be aware of these things in you. You want to cover it up. You want to push it under the carpet. Dharma Shastra, that which you hide under the carpet in your own self, pull it out. And when it pulls out, obviously, what will be your reaction? First will be pain. Second is irritation on the person who's causing the pain. Narayana, don't get irritated, and don't give shabam and all to me. Isn't it? Don't do all that. You follow? Very difficult. 3. It's easy to teach Vedanta, difficult to teach Dharma Shastra. Because in Vedanta, you can answer questions. The ultimate answer that you will give is what? You cannot understand what we are saying, full stop. In Vedanta, very easy to teach Vedanta. Why? Because you can ask questions. We'll give an answer. Second clarification you ask. Third clarification you ask. What will be the answer finally? You cannot understand. It is beyond intellect. It is beyond this. It is beyond that. Now, you have no choice but to, when it is said beyond the instruments, beyond intellect, what choice you have there? Isn't it? Something they are saying, so nice to hear, very entertaining also, isn't it? It's a very good, what they call it as edutainment. Education plus entertainment. You have to educate through entertainment. Dharma Shastra says no education through entertainment and all. That's where it gets very, because nowadays the idea behind education is edutainment, meaning education should be done along with entertainment. Dharma Shastra has no time for all these things. Therefore, what is the Dharma Shastra? The starting point of it is the Vedas itself. The Vedas itself becomes the starting point. Having established that Dharma Shastra is the Vedic standpoint, we have some regard and respect to it. Otherwise, we think Dharma Shastra means somebody has written a book on do's and don'ts. What is the difference between Vedanta and Dharma Shastra? Vedanta says no do's and don'ts. Dharma Shastra says do's and don'ts. Vedanta will say do's and don'ts are not meant for human beings. Then for whom it is? Law is meant for whom? Law is meant for whom? Law is needed for whom? Again I ask the question. Law is needed for whom? Law is needed only to a human being. Law is not needed for other species. You understand what I'm saying? Dharma Shastra talks about the law. Why do we talk about this law? Why do we need this law? Because human being needs regulators. Now we are starting the proper study of Dharma Shastra. The human being needs regulators. The first regulator, which brings in a discipline to a human being, is what? The first regulator that will make you to obey the law. Vedanta comes and says, you are above law. There is no law. Law is Maya. There is no such thing called law. It's all Maya. It's all Mithya. If you take the stance that law is Maya, law is Mithya, now only, what will you do? Are you able to follow the line of argument? Vijay, Purida? Huh? Are you able to follow? Vijay. Dharma means a law, and law is essential for a human being. Law is necessary only for a human being. Why law is necessary only for a human being? Rewind 1.5 hours back. Rewind 1.5 hours back. Human being alone has choice. Because of the choice, there is a conflict. In order to resolve the conflict, there is free will, purushartha. Are you able to follow? So 3 words. What are the 3 words? That is very important. Choice, conflict, free will. Purushartha. Now, law comes in where you have a choice. Where there is no choice, law has no meaning there. Only when you have a choice, you need to know what is the basis for the choices. Where there is no choice at all, do's and don'ts, law is irrelevant. That's why they say the most harmonious place in the world is a jungle, not human society. Yeah? The most harmonious place is jungle. Why? Because the law is obeyed there fully. When we say law is obeyed there fully, it means they have no other choice. They have no other. Are able to follow? Therefore, Vedanta makes it so liberal by saying do's and don'ts are not needed, laws are not required, you don't have to do, you don't have to follow anything, do things you decide by yourself. That's why Vedanta is, whoever wants to close your ears, you can close. Again, ಯಾರಿಗಾದ್ರು ಕಾದು ಪೊತ್ತಿಗೆ please close your ears. Vedanta will be very appealing to the egoist. Vedanta always appeals to the egoist a lot, because to the egoist will be very happy with the statement. The egoist will be very happy with the statement. What is the statement the egoist will be very happy? You choose, you decide, you choose, you decide. Do's and don'ts and all is not there. You alone, you have the free, you choose, you choose, you choose. Dharma Shastra comes and says that's what you are doing already. What is there to teach you to do that? Are you able to understand the starting point of the education? Starting point of the education. That's what you are all doing anyway. We need to change that. It means the law comes in. Why the law? Why human being needs the law? Regulators, I said. The regulators. The regulators. What is the regulator? Remember, take it or leave it, doesn't matter. This is the law of life. Bhayam is the first very important regulating force in a human being. Fear, bhayam. In the initial stages where the human being is not evolved, where the unselfishness and all is not, where the human being has not matured into that unselfishness and all a lot, that person should not be given freedom. Because to a person who is highly selfish and you give them the freedom, that freedom will be abused. Therefore, Dharma comes and says, wait, you don't. Why? You don't choose. Regulator. The important regulator, the first regulator is called fear. Fear of the consequences, fear of the punishment. The same person who doesn't bother throwing dirt in a temple here will be very careful when he goes to Singapore, no? Hmm? The person here who doesn't care about dirting the temple, isn't it? See, they give prasad, they eat that, in that, donne, they give the prasad, they eat the prasad, they don't even bother to go to the bin and put it in the bin. They just eat and they just throw it. Half eaten food also will be thrown. So the next fellow, you will be walking on the foot only. Correct? And you ask the person, where are you coming from? 1 week spiritual tour in this country from Singapore, sir. Why will they not dirty in Singapore? Why will they not think of even doing a thing like this in Singapore? What makes them obey the law? Fear, punishment. The first regulator is bhayam. A unselfishness, a person who is grown in unselfishness alone has this privilege of transcending it. A human being in the initial stages of selfishness and self-centeredness and grihastha life and all that, living life on raga and dvesha and impulsive ways of life, will have to fear. Dharma Shastra uses this fear. Dharma Shastra uses this fear. But sir, that's not what we have studied, no. That's why I said it will be totally opposite of what you have studied. In the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, when he defines Sattvic Buddhi, read the definition of Sattvic Buddhi. Bhayam cha, bhayameva cha. Sattvic Buddhi is not fearless, he says. Sattvic Buddhi knows what to fear and what not to fear. Look at the choice of words. It's so clearly explained, and still we go on missing it. In the 18th chapter, he defines Sattvic Buddhi. I think verse number 31 of chapter 18, 31 of chapter 18, he discusses Sattvic Buddhi. And what is the unique feature of Sattvic Buddhi? It knows what to fear and it knows what not to fear. So Dharma Shastra introduces the commandments, and by saying, if you don't follow this law, carefully follow. If you don't follow this law, you will gain papam, and papa will take you to naraka, from naraka to punarjanma. So you have to fear 3 things you have to fear. Vedanta will come and say all this rubbish doesn't exist. Dharma Shastra says fear these 3 first. What are the 3 things that you have to fear? Papam, narakam, punarjanma. You can sing Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani, Jatare Shayanam, Iha Samsare, Bahudustare, Kripaya Pare, Pahi Murare. Million times you can repeat this shloka, and still you will keep going through this Punarjanma again and again and again. Why? Because if there is no regulator at all, a human being's tendency will be to live life according to one's own ragadvesha and environmental necessity, that immediate environmental benefits and ragadvesha. Immediate needs and necessities. That's all the human being is concerned. The immediate needs and necessities. First I'll take care of the immediate need and necessity. If this need and necessity is not taken care of, dharma and all doesn't work out, sir. That's why they think it is right for a poor person to be adharmic and a rich person alone can be dharmic. We have a weird understanding, no? Because immediate things have to be attended to first. And what is the immediate thing that you have to be attended to? Your immediate needs and necessities, raga dvesha. Dharma Shastra, Veda, in the Veda Purva, threatens human beings. The same Veda that threatens a human being is the same Veda that ridicules it later. That's why, long back in one of the conversations, not now, when I say long back means when I was in ninth class, ninth standard. I remember this. There was discussions. The person said all these Vedas and rituals and prayers and temples and all this is ridiculous. All this is superstitions. All this is false. Why are you sticking to this? I turned back and said, this criticism is not new because Vedas itself criticizes it. So what you are saying is not known to us. We know it already, I said. Are you able to follow what I'm saying? The same Veda criticizes it. So we don't need somebody from outside to come and say, it is all superstition, it's all only this, it's all only that which is beneficial, that which is needed at A level will not be needed at B level. So first mature out of A to B, then you drop. Vedanta says mature and then drop. Mature and then drop. Don't drop to get maturity. இதுதான் தர்மசாஸ்திராவுடைய thumb rule. Mature and then drop. But we all have a misunderstanding. By dropping, we will get maturity. By dropping the Veda Purva, by dropping the Dharma, by dropping all this, you don't get maturity. You go back to chapter 3. Mityacharasya uchyate. Mityachara, he says. Your achara, your code of conduct will be mithya. False achara you will have. False code of conduct you will have. Therefore, first important thing in relation to Dharma Shastra is what? I am not yet started what is Dharma, what is Dharma Shastra. I am only preparing the importance of it. And then we'll go and study. I have a lot of stories to say on those things. That will be more intellectually entertaining than Vedanta. Or at least we try to make it, and illana what to do now. Nobody will come on for the next session. No. My problem is how to make you all come for the next session more than teaching. Huh? First regulator is fear. Remove the fear without maturity, what will happen? See, that's what is happening today. Remove the fear from the child is not going to get matured. The child will become more and more impulsive by nature. Correct? Some fear. So what Dharma Shastra, Veda Purva does, it instills a fear. Fear will be removed only in Nididhyasana. Till that time, fear will be kept. Only in the Nididhyasana level, the fear will be dismissed. Till that time, fear has to be kept. Retaining the bayam is also a problem. Removing the bayam is also a problem. Are you able to follow? Retaining the fear perpetually is also a problem. Removal of fear is also a problem. Therefore, what does Dharma Shastra do? It did a beautiful, perfect balancing act. What is the perfect balancing act it does? It knows when to retain and when to remove. It knows when to retain and it knows when to eliminate. Along with the fear, the Dharma Shastra educates us on the importance of the discipline. This education, what it does, from fear, from bhayam, it matures into shraddha. So Dharma Shastra is moving from first bhayam, and then you can't be kept in bhayam all the time. That bhayam has to be matured into a shraddha. Shraddha means value of a disciplined life, knowing the value of the disciplined life. That is Shraddha. What is Shraddha? Knowing the value of a disciplined life. What is the disciplined life? Pain now. That's why people don't like discipline, no? For no guarantee of the future benefit, you have to suffer now. That is discipline. Correct? Do's and don'ts. Discipline means what? Do this, don't do this. That's all. The fear has to mature into Shraddha. What is Shraddha? Recognizing the value of discipline. But sir, we are already disciplined, no? That discipline you are not able to connect the discipline to divine. Shraddha means discipline is connected to divine. Then only it is Shraddha. Without connection to divine, what is discipline is nothing but a very materialistic way of life. Again, a very materialistic way of life, that's all. Are you able to follow? It is not just discipline alone. Discipline for the sake of divine alone can be called as Shraddha. If you don't bring in divine, then it is not then discipline. That's why, remember the example I gave some time back? Trekking, isn't it? Trekking can be an exercise, isn't it? Discipline means I must exercise at morning walk, evening walk, morning walk. I should exercise. I'm practicing Vedanta. Correct? Dharma Shastra, the Upanishadic rishis will laugh at us and say, since when this body preserving activity of discipline became Shraddha? It's a body preserving activity. Discipline without divinity. So what is Dharma Shastra comes and says? You live discipline, you are living a life of discipline for the sake of divine. Then only it is Shraddha. So first is Bhayam. From Bhayam, it moves to Shraddha. At the third level, you don't need any education, you don't need any fear, you don't need anything. You don't need nothing. Because from Bhayam to Shraddha, it has become your samskara. Discipline has become your samskara now. To that person where discipline has become the samskara, fear, Bhayam, Dharma Shastra and all is irrelevant. Are you able to follow? To whom it is irrelevant? To a person where the dharma has become a samskara. Samskara means what? It has become a habit. It has become your lifestyle. See, you will not know anything other than being unselfish. So you need not come and be told to be unselfish. Are you able to follow the difference? See, you do not, it's not that you are making a choice between selfish and unselfish. You do not know anything other than being unselfish. You do not know what it is to be selfish. What a beautiful life it is, where you don't even know the spelling of selfishness. To that person, Upanishad says, come, come, come. We are waiting for one like you. We are waiting for one like you. Upanishad is for that one. To that one, it will say, what is this law? What is this samskara? Oh, what is this karma? What is this bhakti? What is all this? Drop all this. That is why Dharma Shastra will be spoken loudly. Upanishad will be taught in whispers. Because others should not hear. இன்னைக்கு உபனிஷத் தான் மைக்க போட்டுன்னு கத்துறோம், isn't it? மைக்க போட்டுன்னு ஊர் ஊரா போய் மைக்க போட்டுன்னு உபனிஷத் which should be taught in whispers. How do you know that? That's why when you see when a person is initiated into sannyasa, the guru whispers something in the ears. That is Vedanta. மைக்க போட்டுலாம் கத்தக்கூடாது. மைக்க போட்டு ஆடிட்டோரியம் ஃபிக்ஸ் பண்ணிலாம் சொல்லக்கூடாது. இல்லையா? மைக்கை வச்சு ஆடிட்டோரியம் ஃபிக்ஸ் பண்ணி வாட் யூ ஷுட் சே? Dharma-shastra. Dharma-shastra you should say. All of a sudden, why are you going in reverse gear? All the time you are going in forward gear, 6th, 7th, 8th, top gear la போயின்னு இருக்கும்போது all of a sudden you are braking and reversing and going in the reverse gear. We have to go in the reverse gear because we are studying, we want growth to happen, we want transformation to happen, and somewhere we are stuck. Why? Because a vital link is being missed. That link is what we are trying to cover it up now. That is Dharma Shastra. Sai, you are recording this, no? Only you and me will have this recording. Huh? Only you and me. Nobody else will have access to this recording. Whatever they hear and they retain, they retain. If they forget, Narayana, one more Janma. We will talk again. Huh? This recording, Sai, Nirup, because he is a sadhu sannyasi for him. Arvindan, for me to refer to prepare notes for the next class. All of them. Why? Because it is so difficult to, it is so difficult to give logic and reason for do's and don'ts. Because there is a rebellion against do's and don'ts. And what logic and reason can you give? Or even if you give logic and reason, the mind is not going to accept it. That is why Dharma Shastra will be taught when you are young. Age of 8 and 10, Dharma Shastra will be taught. Because you are so young, you are so naive, you are so young, you are so naive, you trust the Guru so much, you believe that person is having your welfare only in mind, you will trust him so much, you will trust the knowledge so much, you will follow all that he has taught. So you so genuinely you will follow everything. The maturity comes, and then the same Guru comes and says, get rid of all this. Get rid of all this. Philosophy for a child is irrelevant. Dharma Shastra for an adult will not work. Philosophy for the child is irrelevant. That's why they come and ask, sir, we should take Vedanta to to schools and universities. I also go and teach. But I don't teach any of this Vedanta, this thing. I talk about only Dharma there. That's why people ask, sir, what do you teach there? I just laugh and go. Because for children, philosophy is irrelevant to them. Dharma is relevant to them. For an adult, Dharma doesn't work at all. Why? Because we already know what is right, what is wrong, what needs to be done, what should not be done. We already know that. Therefore, the study of Dharma Shastra is an extraordinary study. A very beautiful study. Idoskara weekly class hakkalaanla, don't ask. This itself, I was threatened on gunpoint to do this. Sai, correct? No, I'm not lying. I'm not exaggerating. No, correct? See, that's why he safely ran away. YSR safely ran away, isn't it? At gunpoint, they held me in the office. They called me to their office. Like a goat, I also went. Not knowing why they are calling. They surrounded me gunpoint. Dharma Shastra, Dharma. Now, the only way to escape from that office is Vijay. Am I exaggerating? No. Sunil, you are not there on that day. You should have been there on that day. At least you would have saved me. Do. The only way to escape from there is I said I'll do and ran away. Now, having committed the word, before I can even get into the car, Venkat has announced in the group, Sai has announced in the group. Now, I'm thinking now, oh my God, other classes is not growing that fast. You follow? Dharma Shastra is very relevant to the child. It is irrelevant. It is the adult is, because the adult comes back. The adult doesn't come with the innocence of the child of saying, I don't know what is good, what is bad. The adult doesn't come with that knowledge. The adult doesn't come like that. Adult comes and says, I know what is right, what is wrong. The child comes with that innocence. That's why Dharma Shastra is taught to the. So, assuming that we are all children here, we are talking. Ganesh. Even though I came to your Sashti of the Purti 20 years back, I attended Ganesh's 60th birthday 20 years back. Still, I have to see him as the child only and teach Dharma Shastra. Purida. Beautiful is this Dharma Shastra. Why it is very important? Because it is Dharma that brings in the fear. Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita is asking, he is fearing to do Dharma. Because he is fearing to do Dharma in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is saying, the only way that we can overcome the fear is by doing Dharma. Do the Dharma. Do the Dharma. What is Dharma Shastra? We said Dharma Shastra starts with Dharma Sutras. Sutras means formulas. So as we go along, I keep giving formulas. Make a note of it and keep reading it. First formula of Dharma Shastra is Swabhava plus Dharma. Swabhava plus Dharma. The Swabhava plus Dharma equals Swadharma. Shreyan Swadharmo Vigunaha Paradharmo Bhayavaha. Swabhava plus Dharma equals Swadharma. Formulas. Because Dharma Shastra comes with, I'm going to introduce Dharma Shastra not as in the Dharma Shastra. I'm going to introduce Dharma Shastra as in Dharma Sutra. Shastra is elaboration on Sutra. First it is the formula and then elaboration on the formula. So I'll give a few formulas for for you all to study. Therefore, it's very important for the modern day Vedanta practitioners. In the olden days, this problem didn't arise at all because the sequence was very clear. The sequence was very clear in the past. Today, the sequence is so mixed up that the modern day Vedanta practitioner's responsibility. What is that responsibility? Brahmajnanam and dharmic life are complementary and never contradictory. Brahmajnanam and dharmic life are never contradictory. If we see a person living a dharmic life, the other side of the coin is that person has Brahmajnanam, Atma Vidya they have. The dharmic life and Brahmajnanam, Atma Jnanam, Brahma Vidya are two sides to the same coin. You cannot see the Brahmajnanam, you can only see the dharmic life. You can only see them living a dharmic way of life. From the dharmic way of life, you understand the Brahmajnanam. Because you can't go into the person and see Brahmajnanam is there or not. Or at the most, whoever is a very good preacher, whoever has a very good skill with words and a showman, you will get carried away by the show person. Showman, or showman, no? Am I using the right word? Showman. All the humanity gets carried away by a showman because they play with the words. They know how to play with the words. There is a basic intelligence. They play with the words. All put together comes like a beautiful package, and you believe it is Brahma Vidya. You believe they have Brahma Vidya, Atma Jnanam. Vedas will laugh at you and laugh at both. Because dharmic life and Brahma Jnanam are not contradictory, they are complementary. Because as a lay person, you can never have access to Brahma Jnanam. As a lay person, you can have access only to the dharmic life. And it is the dharmic life that inspires the lay person to Brahma Vidya. Are you able to follow? It is the dharmic life that will inspire a lay person for Brahma Vidya. You can't directly get inspired by Brahma Vidya and all. That's why people always come and say, sir, at the end of it, it's all highly theoretical only, no, sir. This Atma Bodha, Upanishads, at least Bhajagovindam, some practical tips we get here and there to handle the problems. Atma Bodha, enna sir irukku? What is there in Atma Bodha? What is there in the Upanishad that is practical? You follow? Atma Jnanam and Brahma Vidya are not contradictory. Sutra number 2. A dharmic life is which is what we keep saying in all the classes. What is the best way to preach Vedanta? Live a dharmic life. Yadyada charati shreshtaha tattat eva itarajanaha sayat pramanam kurute lokas tadanu vartate. People ask, I want to teach Vedanta. How to preach Vedanta? How to preach Vedanta? Facebook post ponno, Instagramla ponno, newspaper advertisement kudukunma. What is the best way to preach Vedanta? Yadyada charati shreshtaha. Yadyad acharati. We keep saying it, but we don't know what it is to live. The best way to preach Vedanta is to live it. When you turn back and ask, what is that life? What is that life? Now you know the answer. What is that life? Dharmic life. The dharmic life. Therefore, even if you really want to help somebody on gaining this, teaching this knowledge, you live a dharmic life. What is that Dharma? All that we are going to read, all that we are going to study. Introduction or introduction, isn't it? Tomorrow only I'm going to start with the definition of Dharma, etc. I'm not going to start with the definition of what is Dharma, etc. today. Today is only the relevance and importance of it. If a person feels that Dharma is no more important, I have gone beyond punyam and papam. If a person feels about oneself like that, if the person thinks about oneself like that, I am beyond dharma and adharma. Therefore, I need not bother about dharmic life. If a person is thinking about oneself like that and acting like this, what would you call that person as? There is one word for that person. What would you call that person as? Mityachara. One word. Yeah. And the Mityachara Vedantic training lend word. I am looking for other Dharma Shastra word. Mudamate. Rakshasa. You become a Rakshasa. Devil. Devil is not the right word to describe Rakshasa. Follow? A person who believes what Dharma is no more important. This ethics and morals, laws, do's and don'ts and all is no more important for me. I know I am beyond Dharma and Adharma. Why? Because in the classes I have heard any number of times. What did I hear in the class any number of times? You are the supreme reality above the pairs of opposites. Dharma and Adharma is the pair of opposite. Since I am the reality above the pairs of opposites, I am beyond Dharma and Adharma. Therefore, I need not bother about living an ethical, moral life. What would you call that person? What is the name of that person? Now, Mudamate, Vityachara, unknown terms to me. I don't know these terms. Rakshasa, I know. Rakshasa. You become a Rakshasa. It means if Dharma is violated, Brahma Jnanam has been misunderstood. That's why I am not reversing back. I am saying Dharma Shastra study is very important because of this. Again, I repeat. If a person feels like violating the values, if the person feels like violating the law, it means Brahma Jnanam has been misunderstood completely. The tragedy of it, the height of tragedy, PhD in Rakshasa is what? Coming out and teaching this to others. That is Rakshasa in PhD. Coming out and why? Because Vedanta and Dharma, as though they are mutually exclusive. They think about. Are you able to follow what I'm saying now? They talk about as though they are mutually exclusive. No, they are not mutually exclusive. One follows the other. And now the person asks, with this, I'm going to conclude for today. Now the person comes and asks, what should I follow, Vedanta or Dharma? As though they are mutually exclusive, they come and ask. Sir, too much, sir. Vedantaum kashtam, Dharmaum kashtam. Rendu kashtalam pada mudiyadhu. So, give us one thing, Vedanta or Dharma, as though they are mutually exclusive. No, they are not mutual. We try to convince that they are not exclusive, they are not exclusive, they are one and the same, they are one and the same. There is no question of choosing one over the other. The person is insisting, no, I can only choose one. Upanishad is bold enough to say, choose Dharma. Choose Dharma. Why? Very soon the dharmic person will mature and come to Brahma Atma Vidya. Very soon the person who is following Dharma will mature and come into Brahma Jnana. But if you neglect Dharma, it's not that you will come to Vedanta. You will only become a Rakshasa. Not only you become the Rakshasa, you teach this to others as though it is a right way of living. And everybody will like it also. Why? Because Vedanta is very liberal, sir. I say, which Vedanta is very liberal? I always think, in my head, I always think, where it is liberal? The rules and regulations are so strict. The Dharma is so liberal to the one who doesn't know what is selfishness in their life. Are you able to follow? Therefore, the Upanishad gives the answer. If you have to choose between Dharma and Vedanta, first, choose both. Choose both sequentially. Dharma and Vedanta. Choose both sequentially. If you say no, 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 choose Dharma, but never Vedanta at the expense of Dharma. Never Vedanta at the cost of Dharma. And as I said in the beginning, Dharma looks very difficult. Dharma looks very unappealing, uninspiring. But Vedanta will look very appealing to whom you have the freedom to choose. There is no law. There is no such thing called the law. Do's and don'ts and all is not there for you, etc. When all this is heard, you go on misunderstanding. What is the misunderstanding? You can do whatever you feel like doing and still attain moksha. It's exactly like the person thinking 30 minutes I sit with my eyes closed and focus on the nose, focus on the eyebrows, focus on something here, I can attain moksha. Rest of the 23 hours I can do whatever I feel like doing. Exactly the same fallacy here also it becomes. Therefore, we are trying to prevent ourselves from falling into this fallacy. We are avoiding ourselves from falling into this fallacy. Therefore, this is Dharma. Now the question is, what is Dharma? Now the question is, what is Dharma and what are these Dharma Sutras, which is popularly known as Dharma, which is popularly known as Dharma Shastra. What are all this? Tomorrow, we will start with the definition of Dharma. We'll start with the definition of Dharma and then we'll see the various shades of the meaning of the word Dharma. And the very meaning itself will tell us what to do, what not to do. It is such a beautiful self-regulatory system. It's a very beautiful self-regulatory piece of understanding, Dharma Shastra. With this, we conclude for this introduction to Dharma Shastra. Tomorrow, we'll start with the meaning of Dharma and look at the various shades and meanings of Dharma.